everybody, Lori here from Unique in the Creek, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a quick and simple gnome wreath with our Unique in the Creek vinyls. This vinyl was designed for Unique in the Creek exclusively. It is a Christy Rail original, and of course it's got the 3 little gnomes, and it says I'll be gnome for Christmas, North Pole. It's just the cutest thing ever. So we're going to be using this as well as the character board, and we're going to be using a red and white snowdrift mesh. We got this cute gnome ribbon, gnome sweet gnome, gnome for the holidays, I'll be gnome for Christmas. How cute is that? We're going to pair it up with a red and white micro dot ribbon, as well as some whimsical deco tubing. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your vinyl, your UITC vinyl. So what this does is the vinyl, when you put it onto your board, makes your board and your sign all one piece. So the nice thing about that is you don't have to wait for sign maker or stuff like that. Now, I got glitter all over it, so we don't want glitter all over it. So I'm just going to wipe it down, if I can find something to wipe it down with. There we go. So we just don't want any dog hair and glitter, and I know if you're doing it in a craft room, that's kind of hard to do. Okay, so at the top, where there's the number 1 and a number 2, you will see 2 holes that are kind of divoted in. It's actually called chamfered, new word. That is the top of your board. We're going to put a zip tie, or you can make a hanger or wire, whatever you want to use to hang your wreath. You're going to use these 2 holes. Okay, so that's the top. And you're going to take your vinyl, and all you're going to do is peel it off this paper. The paper is now garbage. Again, glitter all over. And what I normally do is I just kind of grab the 2 sides in the middle and make it like a U shape. And the very center of the board is right between where the 1 and the 2 is. So if you make an imaginary line, that is the dead center of your board. Okay, and then again, you can look at this way as well, because that's the center. So there we go. Now, if you want it precise, you can put little lines with pencil on there to make sure your vinyl gets dead center. I just eyeball it, because you can, if you do not smooth it out right away, you can move them. So I'll just put it down, lay it down lightly, and it's on the inside of the very last hole there. And I just kind of look at it straight on. Mine looks pretty straight. However, if yours is crooked, you can still lift it up and put it back down again. Now these are UV coated, the vinyls, so they will not fade in the sun. There we go. Okay, so it's as easy as that. So once you have it on your board and you're ready to commit, start from the middle and just smooth it out with your hand. Okay. And then I just grab anything flat. Now you can use like a credit card or a debit card or anything or something, but just put like a paper towel or even a piece of toilet paper over the card and smooth it out so it doesn't leave any scratches or anything. I'm just going to use my Betty Crocker. I have this Betty Crocker spatula, which is rubber, so it does bend, but it's still firm enough. You get these at the dollar store, and I start from the middle and just work my way out. That's just to get rid of any little teeny tiny bubbles. Usually when you smooth it out with your hand, it affixes just fine. All right, there we go. That's all there is to that. There is our sign and our wreath frame all in one piece. So we are ready to rock and roll. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this to the side because I'm going to get you guys to pre-make, we're going to pre-make all our supplies, okay? Meaning we're going to cut our ribbons first, we're going to cut our deco mesh, we're going to cut our tubing, we're going to have everything ready to go, and then assemble the wreath quite quickly once we're ready to go. So for this wreath, I'm going to need 16 pieces of mesh at 12 inches. So you're going to unwrap your mesh. And you can use any mesh you want. This is just another way to do a unique in the wreath on the character board. And I'm gonna cut out 12-inch pieces, and I need 16 12-inch pieces. Okay. So I just rolled it out, and because I need 12-inch, I'm going to cut it at 24, and then I'm going to cut it at 12. Now, normally I would do my poofs and then cut my mesh, but I'm finding that when you get more to the center of your roll, the mesh curls in a lot more. I like my ruffles nice and full and kind of flat looking, and you'll see once we start building this wreath, it makes your wreath look so much bigger. So if you use the beginning of the roll first to make your ruffles, we are going to get that full effect because our ruffles will be flat, unlike if we used more towards the core of the center of the roll, it would be really curly. So we'll just first cut our 16 pieces. So it's 4. Now you can cut it with using your measure buddy, or you can use your cutting mat like I'm doing right now. You can use a piece of cardboard, anything that's 12 inches, and you can wrap it around. Or you can even tape a measuring tape to your table and cut it like that, as long as you don't cut through onto your table. Okay, let's see how many we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I need 4 more pieces. So as you can see, we're getting towards the inner part of the mesh, and it's starting to get curly. $14. 2 more pieces. All right, 16 pieces. So we have our pieces ready for our ruffles, and the rest of this we're going to be using for poofs. Okay, so we're going to cut our ribbon at 14 inches long, and we're going to do 8 pieces of each. Now you can do 16 if you want a really full wreath with a lot of ribbon. You may want to do 16 of each. Okay. I'm going to do 8 because if you do 8, the wreath does look really, really full and pretty, and you still have enough to make another wreath if you want to do another one exactly the same, if you use only 8 pieces. So that's what I'm going to use, 8 pieces of each at 14 inches. And I'm going to use my measure buddy. So I'm just going to pull out number 1 at 14 inches. Okay, I'm going to put my ribbon on the measure buddy, and I'm going to go around 8 times. So there's 1, so that's 1 piece of ribbon at 14, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you can do this on your cutting mat, or you can use a piece of cardboard at 14 inches, or you can get a measure buddy for $12.99 and always have it available. This goes up to 20 inches. From 8 inches to 20 inches you can cut your tails. All right, so I'm just cutting the edge. So we have 8 pieces of this ribbon, and we have lots of ribbon left. So that's why I said if you just do 8 pieces, you can do another wreath, or you can put double pieces each section that we're going to do, which you would need 16 pieces. So it's your wreath. You do it however you'd like. All right, so we're going to do the same thing here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you can buy the measure buddy on uniqueinthecreek.com and .ca. Eliminate the pieces of cardboard that you may have around, or wood, whatever you are using. All right, so we got 8 14-inch pieces of the gnome and 8 14-inch pieces of the micro dot. And again, we have a ton left. Enough for another wreath. Okay, so I'm going to dovetail these pieces. I'm going to take 3. Now this ribbon is fairly thin. It's not as thick as this canvas ribbon with the Chanel. So what I'm going to do is fold it over lengthwise, and from the folded part to the corner, I'm going to get my scissors and I'm going to cut upwards. And what that's going to do is give you that nice V shape in your ribbons. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay, and I'm going to do this for all my ribbons. There we go. Let's throw these corner pieces away. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold all my ribbons individually and right down the middle. So like I said, I'm just prepping everything so that when it's time to make the wreath, we have everything all ready to go. So I'm just folding these right in half. And it's a little bit easier to do it like this when you have everything prepped and ready to go, and you're not having to stop and start to cut ribbon and all kinds of stuff. So there we go. So we got our gnome cut and folded in half, and we're going to do the same thing for our red and white dot. Okay, our ribbons are ready to go. Our ruffles are ready to go. And now let's get our deco tubing ready to go. And we're going to cut this deco tubing at 60 inches. And we're going to do 8 pieces at 60 inches. So you get 3 of these bundles in the package of 30 yard. And we're going to cut them at 60 inches. Now, if you have a measure buddy, pull out both ends so you have 20 inches. And we're going to do, there's 20, 40, 60. Okay, so that's one way you can do it. So we got a 60-inch piece here. Another way you can do it is just taking a cardboard. This cardboard is 10 inches long, and again, you can wrap it around 6 times. So hold it up top. So there's 1, so that's 10 inches, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay, so that's another way. Or you can just use your mat. Pull it out. My mat's only 36 inches long, so I'm going to pull it out to 30. Okay, and then double it. And then cut. There's your 60 inches. So there's a few ways you can do 60 inches. Okay, so you're going to need 8 of these. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got 8 pieces. So now we're ready to build our wreath. So you're going to get your Unique and Creek character board, and we are going to be doing row 2. Row 2 first. So 1 is right here, 2 is right here, and we're going to preload, close or open our board, which means just go down one hole and up the other and leave it open. Okay, we're going to do this all the way around row 2. So down and up, and your flat side of your zip tie will be facing in towards the holes, so when you go to close it, it will zip up properly. Okay, so just keep in mind that you want your flat part of your zip tie in towards the center. Okay, once you got your board loaded on row 2, we're going to now take our mesh, and we are going to make poofs going all the way around. So what you're going to do is take your end of your mesh and just scrunch up the end, just like that. And you just pick wherever, and we're going to anchor this first one right into the zip tie. So to do up your zip tie, you're going to take the tail of the zip tie, go through the flat part of the head of the zip tie, and pull it nice and tight. Okay, so we're just anchoring that in for right now. And now we're going to count 4 spaces. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, pull your mesh to the 4th space, bring it up, take your zip tie and go around the mesh. This gives you a perfectly 8-inch poof, and your poofs will be the same all the way around if you keep pulling it out to the 4th hole. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. Bring it back up, and where you're holding your mesh in your hand is where you're going to put your zip tie. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. Bring it up. Okay, we've come to the point where we anchored our mesh in. I'm just going to take with my wire nippers, go straight down and clip this tail off. I'm going to put another zip tie in there so we can make the last poof. I love to use zip ties because zip ties give me the satisfaction of knowing that my wreath is not going to fall apart. You can use pipe cleaners, absolutely. I just find if I'm zip tying it in, I know it's in there very secure, and my wreath is not going to come apart or anything like that. So that is the only reason I use zip ties. I do sometimes use pipe cleaners. I just feel I can't get that twist or the poof in there tight enough. So now you're going to go around and just cut the tails of your zip ties off with your wire cutters or side cutters if you have side cutters, zip tie gun. We use zip tie guns a lot at Unique in the Creek. Zip tie gun you can get on Amazon. You just put your tail in the side of this gun part, and then when you pull the trigger, it tightens and cuts your zip ties in one swoop. I do have a link on my website under Lori's favorite tools for the zip tie gun. But you can pretty much use anything you have, even dull scissors. Just don't use your ribbon scissors, your good sharp ribbon scissors, because they will dull very, very fast. Okay, so you're just going to go around and snip these tails off, and we're going to build the second part of our wreath. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my tails. Now with my tails, I'm going to be, tails meaning our pieces of ribbon that we used. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, if you look at the back, there's 16 holes. What I'm going to do is I'll start here. So just pick a spot. I'm going to start here, and there is a zip tie here. And what I'm going to do is every other hole, so I'm going to start here, go down and up. I know there's a zip tie already there, but we're going to build our wreath with our tails and deco tubing right now. So every other hole, what I'm going to do is alternate a gnome and a red dot. Okay, and you're also in that zip tie, you're also going to put your deco tubing. Okay, so for the deco tubing, what I like to do is just get your cardboard, put the end of your deco tubing about halfway up your cardboard and wrap it around. And then you'll have it end on the other side about the same distance that you have in the front. Pull it off, and what it'll give you is these little loopy things. Isn't that cute? And just put your clothespin on it. So we're all ready to put it in the wreath. So what you're going to do is I'm going to fold this over. So we're going to start with the gnome ribbon, and you should already have your line because we've already folded our ribbon. I'm going to take the ribbon and just pinch it right in the center so it looks like this. I'm going to flip it up, and I'm going to flip it up, and I'm going to make sure each of these tails are about the same length, just like that. Put it right over top of where you just put that zip tie. Okay, so there's my zip tie all ready to go. I'm going to take my tubing that I just made, my little tubing thing. I'm going to put that where it's pinched right in the center as well, and do the zip tie up. There we go. There's our first cuteness. So the next one I'm going to do, I'm going to cut that off. So this is where I went, and we're going to skip every other one. So this one will just be a simple poof. I'm going to go in right here. Again, zip tie down and up over top of the current zip tie. And your customer, when you look at the back, your customer will not see. It'll just look like one uniform zip tie. Okay, so there's my zip tie in. This time I'm going to go in with my polka dot. Okay, scrunch it, flip it up, making sure both tails are the same length. Just place it on top of your zip tie. Again, we're going to use one of our 60-inch pieces. Start with your cardboard, and this is 10 inches. Just put it in the middle, wrap it around. Okay. And there's no rhyme or reason to this. There's no right or wrong way. We're just making it a little whimsical looking. Slide it off, and we got all these loops again. Just keep them pinched in the middle. Place it right down on top of your ribbon and your zip tie, and do your zip tie up. Okay, so our ribbons are going to come out the back here, and clip that off. Okay, so now we're going to skip this one, and we're going to go to this one again, and again, this time we're going to use the gnome ribbon. So we're just going to go around row 2 with alternating ribbons. So you will use 4 pieces of each ribbon. Okay. All right, row 1 is done. Hopefully that wasn't too hard for you. Look how cute it is already. But wait till you see what we do to row 1 to amplify it even more. And we'll fix all this after we get going because, you know, we can open up these poofs and fill it in. You won't see the board or anything. So, but I tend to like to do this after I'm done everything, all the pieces of the wreath, because we're going to end up probably smushing down some of these ribbons with our arms and everything. So it's just best to do it all at the end. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, and you should have 4 pieces of ribbon still left. There's 4 of those. And why am I missing 1, 2? I must have not, oh, it's on the floor. Okay, so we have 4 dot ones and 4 gnome ones ready to go. Okay, and this is where we're going to use these pieces of 12-inch that we cut. You do have a little bit extra, hopefully. Now, I didn't want to do it precise because sometimes the rolls of mesh don't come exactly at 10 yards. So I like to do my designs where I have a little bit extra left just in case yours didn't come with a complete 10 yards. So we're going to take some more zip ties. And again, we're going to start building now the outside of the wreath. So what we're going to do is, you see these holes on row 1. What we're going to do is use this hole to the outside of the board. Okay? And every one of these holes, so there's 16, is going to get a ruffle. And I'm going to show you the ruffle in a second. However, where we have the ribbon, so you can see that my gnome ribbon is right here. So that's right here. I'm going to do a ruffle plus add a polka dot or micro dot ribbon. And where the micro dot ribbon is, so this is going to have a micro dot, and then this is just going to have a ruffle, and then this is going to have a gnome ribbon. So we're going to alternate on row 1 just like we did on row 2. Okay, so let's start. So what you're going to do is take your zip tie. You're just going to go down the hole just like this, leaving your zip tie like an L shape on the board and your table. Okay, making sure that the flat part is facing inwards so that when you go to do your zip tie up, it's going to do up properly. Okay, we'll leave that zip tie right there. You're going to take your 12-inch piece of mesh and grab your clothespins. I like to use my clothespins when I do this. It's just so much easier. It's almost like a second set of hands. What you're going to do is take your 12-inch piece, put it right in front of you, curl down. So there's a lot of times you'll watch my videos, I'll say curl up or curl down. This is curl up, so it rolls up on itself. And this is curl down. So I'm going to use this ruffle curl down with the finished edges at the side of my 12-inch piece. And you have your cut edges at the top and bottom. Okay, you're going to go straight up, scrunching up the middle. Now, when I pinch it kind of not right at the end, but just about an inch up. That way the cut edge stays facing down and you don't see it in your wreath, because the cut edges sometimes will fray, and some people don't like the pieces of mesh strings on it. However, you can go back and trim it. So we're going to go right up the center. So scrunch, 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 scrunch. Okay, you do not want to do this on a table with a tablecloth, because as you're trying to scrunch, you're going to scrunch the tablecloth as well. So it's good to use a smooth, flat surface while you're doing this and you're scrunching. Okay, so this one is going to get this ruffle, and it's also going to get, because I have a gnome piece here, it's going to get a piece of this red and white micro dot. So we're going to scrunch it up the middle like we did on row 1. Make sure our tails are pretty much even. Okay, ready to go. You're going to take this ruffle Put it right on top of the board, just like that. And your zip tie is in between the middle. You're going to take your ribbon, put that on top, and then you're going to come around and do your zip tie up. And that's it. And you'll find once you do this, your wreath doubles in size. It's just amazing. The size of this wreath that you can get using one roll of 10-inch mesh. Okay, so we want our ruffle kind of flipped outwards. And then there's our tail. And then when you bring this one back down, you can see both ribbons. Can you see? So you're actually doing it like this. You're actually showing both ribbons so nicely, and then you got that whimsical look with the flex tubing in there. And look how much bigger our wreath just got with the ruffle. So it's a really, really cool technique to make a larger wreath, well, make a wreath appear larger without using a ton of materials. Okay, so this next one is just a ruffle. So what you're going to do again is just go down your hole. Again, we're using the outside of the board. Get your mesh. Now this one's not going to have any ribbon. The only place that we're going to do ribbon is where there currently is ribbon in front of it. Okay, so there's our mesh. You can flip it up. I like to flip it up and make sure, kind of guesstimate that both sides are equal. And then this part I'm going to put right on top of my board and zip tie, put it through that bent edge, and just zip that up. And there we go. So look how much length we just gave this wreath. Okay, so the next one, we're going to do the same, except this time we're going to use the gnome ribbon. So get your piece, put your zip tie in. Now it's going to, the wreath is going to start getting full, so it might be a little bit more difficult to see what I'm doing, but I'm doing an L shape with my zip tie, scrunching up the middle. I'm going to put a clothespin on, get my ribbon. So like I said, I'm doing red and white, so I'm going to use gnome. Pinch it in the middle, just so, flip it up. Try and see, make sure both our ends are the equal size. Take your ruffle, put it on top of there, put your ribbon on top, and do your zip tie up. That's why it's kind of important to make sure your zip tie is facing the right way, so you don't have to put your materials down to fix your zip tie. Now you can easily do this with pipe cleaners or tinsel ties as well. I just like the zip ties. I don't know, it's plastic, it's not going to rust, it's not going to come apart. And look how nice you can see both ribbons when you do this technique. I just love it. Okay, so the next hole is just a ruffle. So down. And you can flip the board over to see where you're at. Okay, so I'm just going around, just going to keep going around the outside of my board, making sure when I put the zip tie in, it's going to do up properly. This one is just a ruffle. And you just want to make sure your ruffle's facing outwards. And it's giving it that bigger look. All right, so we have a gnome. Next, we're going in with a ruffle and a micro dot. So just put your zip tie in. Get your ribbon ready. ruffle up your 12-inch piece, put it on top of your zip tie, put your ribbon on top of your ruffle, and do your zip tie up. Now you can still use a clothespin when you put your ruffle and your ribbon on. Oh, mine just twisted. So I'll show you with the clothespin. So do your ruffle. Okay, put the clothespin on. Do your ribbon. Put your clothespin on. Got my zip tie ready, and then you just put the whole thing right on the board and do the zip tie up. Now you can see how when I said your ribbons will get all mushed down and everything, wait till the end. That's why once we get to the end, we'll fix all our ribbons nicely, move our deco tubing, but we're getting pretty full here. Again, still only using not even a whole roll of 10-inch mesh. Okay, next one is just a ruffle. So you can do this method for any vinyl, any character on the character board. There's many different ways I've done things on the character board. This is just another one, another way. But you can use. We have a ton of vinyls that you can choose from, and we have a red and white. So we're going to come in with our gnome ribbon. Now, when I was saying you can add more ribbons if you'd like, you could add a gnome and a red dot to each zip tie if you want it even fuller. So it's totally up to you. I find this ribbon or this wreath looks perfect with just one in each zip tie, one ribbon, and having enough to make another wreath. Because if you add too much, sometimes it just looks really busy. And you lose the beauty of the wreath. And I find this way right here, this method, is the perfect medium. Because you can see, you definitely can see each ribbon we're put in. Because they're staggered, because they're on different circumferences. So, you know, this one's on row 1 and this one's on row 2. So this row 2 one will be a little bit longer, even though they're the same size at 14 inches. But you can see how much bigger our wreath is getting. I have to cut my nails. Oops. If you don't hear a zipping sound, check your zip tie, because it's probably twisted and it's backwards like mine just did. There we go. I'm having a hard time picking up the zip ties because I started growing my nails and I'm not used to long nails, and I'm not sure if I even like them. I'm so used to short nails for crafting. All right, so here we're going in with we have gnome. We're going to go in with the red and white dot. Just place it on the rounded part on the board. Put your ribbon on, and zip tie it up. Now what's nice about the Unique Creek boards is wreaths like this do fit between two doors. So if you are up north like me and you have a customer or a family member you're making a wreath for and they have a storm door, these will fit in between the two doors. So we'll go around and make everything, do all our pretties at the end. We're almost done. So as you can see, I'm still going around, going right here. So if you ever lose track of where you are, just flip your board over and you can see where you need to go. And this is just a ruffle. Yep, I'm going to have to cut these long nails. I can't grab the zip tie with these long nails. Ah. Here. Now it's much easier to do this when you're not doing it upside down like I am and it's in front of you. I'm trying to do it so you guys can see. There we go. So it's good practice to have a little container with you. And I used to do it all the time and I don't know where my little container went. So I'm gonna have to get another one, just like a Rubbermaid container that you can throw all the zip tie ends in, and then you have no cleanup. We're using red and white. Oh, we're on our last red and white. This is so cute. And look how you can see all the ribbons. And they're not on top of each other. I love this effect. Okay, a couple more and we're done. This one is just a ruffle. And we're on our last gnome. We're our last ribbon. And it's the gnome one. Ribbon on, and wrap your zip tie around. Last ruffle and we are done. Then it's all primping. And as you can see, now we're coming to the hanging holes here. We're going to have to use one of the hanging holes. It's just a little askewed off. The reason why we couldn't put a hole there is just because with the molds of the plastic, you need cooling lines to cool the plastic down. And right up the center is a cooling line. So we decided just to use it. You can't even tell. You just use one of the hanging holes and it's just a little off-centered, but once you put your ruffle on, you cannot tell whatsoever. Alrighty, we are done. The fun part begins where you get to fix it all up and see what your hard work came up with. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is flip it over and make sure I got all my holes. Okay, so I went all the way around and I did row 2. Everything looks nice and neat. If you're selling this at a craft show or somebody purchased it, be sure to tape your business card somewhere on the board or put a sticker. So if the neighbor, the person that bought your wreath, perhaps their neighbor or their family member came over and wanted a wreath just like that, that they have, that person can flip the board over and say, oh, this is where you contact. She made my wreath. Okay. All right. So now let's just go around and fix our ribbons. Make sure our ruffles are facing out the edge. Our loops of Deco tubing, you can open up your poofs if you want just a little bit. Okay. Pull these straight out. I like them going out, all going out the back. And this is important. You got it. If you took the time to make the wreath, make sure you take the time to fix everything so it looks really nice for your pictures, because your pictures are what's going to sell your wreath. And if you don't have nice pictures, you're going to have a harder time selling your wreath. Okay, so you just want to straighten all this, get your Deco tubing. I just love red and white wreaths for Christmas. Nothing screams Christmas like just red and white. And these little loops, even though they can blend in with the mesh, it gives it that whimsical touch without too much in your face. So it's kind of a simple wreath, but it does make a statement. I am in love. So there we go. We got our sign and our wreath frame is all one piece. Our cute ribbon tails. And this wreath is measuring 24 inches. We started out at 15.5. The board is 15.5. And by adding those outer ruffles, you just made a 24-inch wreath with one roll of 10-inch mesh and half a roll of You can use whatever ribbons you want. We used half a roll of the micro dot ribbon, and we used half a roll of the Gnome ribbon, and you still have over half a bag of Deco tubing. So if you get another roll of mesh, you can make a whole nother wreath again. Same way. All right, so the last thing we have to do is just put our hanger on. Now for this wreath, you can make a ribbon hanger. I've shown that a few times on my YouTube channel. I like the ribbon hangers for my flowers. This has a lot going on already, and I don't want to take away from the actual wreath itself. So I'm just going to use a zip tie for a hanger. So I'm just going to flip it over without squishing all my ribbons. And there's the 2 holes here. You're going to go down 1 hole and bring it up the other. Now you can do this at the beginning, which is probably a little easier, but I find it doesn't lay flat, your wreath, while you're building it. So just come around, and then you're going to do your zip tie up just a bit to make a hanger, and that's what you can use for hanging your wreath. Okay, now you can go around and trim any strings off, which I really don't have many strings at all. Look how beautiful. Isn't that cute? I love it. So we'll just push some of this out of the way so we can see this beautiful center. And that's how you make a quick, easy, inexpensive Christmas wreath. And you can use any of our digital centers and do the same way I just did. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again. And be well, everybody. Bye-bye.